Welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and sketch number 3 from the June 2025 virtual crop. Now, I don't know about you, but this sketch intimidated me from the get-go. There are so many moving parts. There's a background that's 2 different pieces that are 6 by 12. We've got all these little punches across the top, all these strips, lots of things going on. So let's break it down and see if we can make it easy. Now, I've already printed my pictures, and I printed them according to the sizes that are listed. So that part is done. And yes, that did take a little while as well. I have pulled some scraps that I had that I want to use for these little strips along the way because they are double-sided and I like that. So I'm going to set those aside right now. And I'm going to go ahead and make my backgrounds so those will be done. Now, instead of choosing 2 completely different colors, what I did was I did a paper from This Life Crafted Rainbow that's got the beige on the back and the pink on the front. And I'm just going to half those and then weld them back together. So let's pull out our arm and do this as a 6 by 12. We'll get these backgrounds done and move them aside and then do the hard stuff. Now you could use 2 different pieces of paper for this, obviously. I just chose not to because I liked the pink and I liked the craft look. And what I'm going to be doing with this is welding it with a couple of these scrap strips that I had because I thought that would be a nice contrast. It's not too much, but I felt like it was a pretty contrast. Now, why would I go with the beige with all this pink? Mainly because in my photos, we were at my daughter's house, and her hardwood floors are kind of showing through in several places. So you see that beigey look. And I just felt like that would be a good contrast to all the pinks going on. It's soft, but it gives us a little bit of something without being too much. And let's do the other one. And I am trying to do these about the same. Now, This Life Rainbow Craft, I can't remember the name of it. It's too many words. But this is beautiful paper. One thing that I have cautioned my people is if you buy 1 pack of it, you need to buy 2. Because in each pack, there's only 1 of each color. And to do double spreads like this, you're going to need 2. So I have bought this paper pack several times. Just because I love the backgrounds that it makes. They're soft. If you don't like one of the colored backgrounds, like this pink is not your favorite, you can always use the crafty side. But man, they make perfect backgrounds. And I'm just checking that side to side to make sure I'm relatively even. And we've got our backgrounds done. Now for the next step, we're going to do all of these punches. And I have chosen this Flourish Vine Border Maker cartridge. I looked at several border punches. The problem with those was the fact that they are so large and a lot of them take up a lot of real estate on the top. And I felt like I needed something a little bit smaller. And instead of cutting these pieces and then punching them, I'm going to do the punch all the way across first and then cut those into smaller pieces. Now, this cardstock I'm using is the lipstick pink. And I felt like, again, it's a really good contrast to what I've got going on the rest of that page. And this calls for these to be 3.5 by 5.5. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip this and chop the other side as well. And then I can cut these down from both directions. And hopefully have enough for both pages. Yeah, if you were just feeling real industrious, this confetti is really cute. I'm sure you can make something wonderful out of it. In fact, I was looking at it thinking, one year at one of my flamingo crops, I think we made a flamingo out of it. So let's try our cuts and see where we are on this. Now, I am going to measure this because it calls for it to be 5.5, which means I need 11 here. And I'm good on that. I got plenty. So we're going to cut this side at 5.5. Make sure I'm lining up the edges of my punch there, right along the edge of my trimmer. And then I'm going to do the same here. Now, if you've watched me very long, you will probably realize that I like to use all of one tool first and then use the other. So I did all that punching first. And then we need these cut down to 3.5. So we're going to put these on the 3.5 mark and just chop through. Now, for some of you, it may bother you that it's not rounded off on the corners, whatever. That is not a big, hairy deal to me. I mean, I can choose it there, and I will, to keep that rounded corner. But I think it's going to be pretty nevertheless. And you could always take your scissors if you wanted to and go back and round the edges a little bit. You know me, the design is not the most important thing in my world. I like it, but it's not the most important part. All right, so we've got all of these. We've got 6 of those cut. So our next step is to cut these little pieces right here. And we need 1, 2, 3, 4 one direction that are 3.5 by 1. And then a couple of the other direction that are 3.5 by 1. And that's where I'm going to use these scraps. So let's see. If I go to 3.5 here, then I just need to cut the 1 inches. And I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these overall. And because this is double-sided paper, I'm not really worried a whole lot about which side I'm cutting where. And what if this was a 6-inch piece of paper? Would that not be great? We almost got that. It's just a touch bigger than 6. So that's just a little bigger than a 1. But we got all of those out of that one little piece. And then down here, we've got some more strips. And these are 1 by 4. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. Let's see if this is a 6-inch length. I'll just cut my 6-inch length first. It is a 6. We need it at 4. And it is a 4. So all we got to do is cut our 1s. So I hope breaking it down into these little steps makes it a little bit easier for you. You'll see in the next video, I was a little intimidated by that one too, because there is so much going on in the number 4 sketch. Sometimes I just look at them and I think, I don't think so. But they always turn out so pretty. And I hope that maybe I make it just a touch easier for you when I lay it out step by step. All right, so let's get our backgrounds down. And you can see when I was welding, I got a little ruffle right there. That happens occasionally, but it's going to be covered anyway, so I think that's okay. And let's start with these. And the way they've done these is kind of up on the 2 outside ones. You know what? I'm looking for the ones where I've got the rounded corners for my outside edges. There's a rounded. And then 1 down. And I'm setting those directly on that welding line that I made. And let's go ahead and tape those. I think that'll just be easier to do. Now, I'm not worried a whole lot about taping the bordery part of it, because that will be under a page protector. And what I'm doing is working from my 2 outsides into the middle, leaving about the same space. I'm not measuring it. If that's important to you, measure it out. Make sure you like the spacing. What's more important to me is that this inner spacing is very similar. And we'll do the same thing over here. And again, I'm trying to keep my space kind of the same from page to page. Kind of the same from side to side. And then break the distance in the middle. And I'm glancing at the sketch as I'm working, and I'm realizing that I also need some little mats down here. I need 4x4 mats. So one more cutting. And we'll have to cut 2 4-inch strips to get 4 of these. So we did need 2 pieces of cardstock. And we'll just go to 4, 4, 4, 4. And one more. Now let's space these out and tape them down. And on these, we're trying to leave a little space for our border strips in between them. And I really don't need to tape them, I guess, until I put my border strips down with it. All right, so we've got all of that on top. These are the ones that go there. And it's kind of hard for me to tell if it goes all the way onto the cardstock or if it goes down some. So let me pull my pictures. Looks like that's going to have to go below my photo. So maybe I should stick my pictures on first. You can tell this one I'm matted in a leftover picture I had. I'm going to go up just as high as I can on this. And then slide that right under the edge of the picture. Whoa, and that is so crooked. Something is so crooked. Could be the photo, could be the mat, could be the strip. And I did print my pictures. This time when I printed them off, because I needed 3x4s, I printed them to a 4x6 card. And then I went back and matted them, which I normally don't do. I normally just print them with a mat around them. But this time I did mat them by hand using some leftover pictures that I had. So I didn't use extra paper. I just used the back of some of my photos that I printed erroneously. Someone was asking me the other day if I enjoy printing my own pictures. I will tell you, for me, I think the time factor I don't love. I don't love just being able to sit down and grab my photos and go. But I am saving time in some respects because I don't have to go through and pick all my pictures out and send them to a developer and wait on them. I'm printing exactly what I'm using, which is very helpful. And I think I'm probably saving a little bit of money because I'm not throwing very many away. And I'm not printing duplicates most of the time because I'm checking what I've got before I print. Whoops. I'll take that one there. Now, if you wanted to use totally different patterns here, you know, I did that welding strip there, so it's kind of the same color and same pattern, and it's kind of running into it here. It doesn't bother me. I think it's okay. But if you wanted to use totally different pieces for these little strips, you could always do that. One thing that I'm having a hard time with on this is I don't really see a place for a title per se. And I didn't really see a good spot for journaling. So I will probably add some little journaling strips, maybe in these two pink ones right here. And then we've also got these. And again, we're going to kind of alternate which side we use for what. And I'm going to break the distance kind of between that and that to get this lined up where I want it. It does help that my background is printed with these cute little dots on it. That does help me line up things a little bit better. If you don't have that, you probably want to pull out your 0 centering ruler to get these a little more even. And I'm just praying that side to side this is going to be relatively even, because I don't really want to pull them all up and start again. Not too bad. Now, if you're wondering what this event was, this was a big sister party. We were, the night before her little brother came, we went down to be with her during the birth of the brother, and we decided to have a big sister party. And she will tell you frequently her favorite color is pink. So we did everything in pink. We did pizza, which is one of her favorite foods. We did cookies, cupcakes. We did the whole 9 yards. Everything in pink. And her other grandmother sent her a baby in the mail, a baby doll. And then I had given her a doll the next day. And she was so excited about becoming a big sister. You know, she's only 3, so she didn't really know what that entailed. She didn't know he was going to come to the house and that he would make noises a lot and all those fun things. But we did have a fun night this night, just kind of celebrating her. And I think she enjoyed it too. All right, we've about knocked this thing out. So, man, that's a lot of stuff, a lot more than we usually do. But look at those 2 pages and how pretty they are. So we got all those little pieces and parts in there. The only thing I have left to add is perhaps a title. And they show a title coming in right here. We'll see about that. And a little bit of journaling. They also show some embellishments here and here. I'm not sure I'm going to add any embellishments because I kind of like what we've got already. But that is Virtual Crop Sketch number 3 from June 2025. Almost done, but look for the pictures to see where I add my journaling and if I add a title. And until I see you next time, happy scrapping.